Hello, this is Cheryl Wilson, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about commissions. This was the very first commission I ever did years ago, and I've done quite a few since then. Some have been fun ones where I've added different things on top of the paintings. Other have just been very large paintings up to like 72 inches. I've done several panels. I've had a lot of fun doing commissions. Had to learn a lot along the way. So I thought I might share with you some of the things I've learned that hopefully it will help you. All right, hi, this is Cheryl from Cheryl Wilson Art, Intentional Artist, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a question that I've gotten quite recently, and that's working with people on commission art. A lot of people don't like to do commission art, and there's an aspect of doing art on a commission that takes me out of my comfort zone. But I've learned to actually enjoy doing commission art, and let me just tell you a little bit of some of my experiences. I have gotten commissions from several ways. One have been when people have walked into my art gallery and seen a piece of art that they've liked and they connected with, and then they've come back at another time to purchase a piece and it's gone, and then they've asked me to paint that same piece for them or something close to it. Another way is when they've come in and they see a piece of art that they really like, but they want in a different color. And so they'll commission me to paint a piece of art that is pretty close to what they see, only in a different color. Or they've come in and they've seen a piece of art and they want a different size. So, it might be 24 by 24 and they want something that is more rectangular for maybe above their couch, and so they'll commission me to do a piece like that. And then there's the one, and I've gotten a lot of these where people they like my style and they want something, but they want something uniquely done for them. Again, it's still kind of looking towards their color, their measurements, and actually tailoring a piece for them. So what I do is I start out by asking the person, go to my website or come to my art studio and tell me 2 to 4 pieces that you connect with, and then tell me why. So I kind of get an idea with what it is that they're resonating with. Sometimes if they're local, I will even drive to where they want the piece of art and talk with them about the piece there. Recently I did do 2 very large 72-inch ones, and I thought I was going to do one, but after we talked about it, measured it, and kind of just talked about how they would look, she ended up having me do 2 very large ones for an entryway. And so actually going on site to look at the space and talking with the client is a good idea if you could do that. Then after that, then comes into the serious part when they've actually asked you to do a commission and you're going to start on it. So that's when we start to narrow down the size, the color, actually even what color that you absolutely don't want in the piece, because when I use my creative liberty, I may put smatterings of a particular color that the client may say they don't want. In fact, the 2 large ones I did, they specifically did not want any purple, lavender, or anything close to it. And then the timeline, and if they want texture. Some of my pieces are smoother, some have a lot of texture in them, so we talk about all that. Then the next step is I always draw up a contract. Now, the contract is actually really important because it helps not only you but the client, because you're taking all these pieces that you've talked about, the size, the color, the parameters of when the art is going to be completed, all the nuances, if it's going to be shipped to them, mailed to them, who's going to pay for shipping, who's going to pay for sales tax if it's in the state you're working in, if they're going to pick it up, the parameters around the pickup, all those things go in the contract in some place or the other. And I always ask for a third down or a half down, it all depends. And that's very important because it really weeds out those that are just, maybe not really sure they want the piece of art. But if you work with them the way I work with my clients, and I know that, my take on commissions is not the only one out there, but the clients have several chances to look at the art and to be inspired by how far you've come to maybe make some changes that I've never had a commission where they haven't accepted it at the end. Not to say that that's not going to ever happen down the road, but having a third down or a half down really does weed out those that are serious about the commission, because you're going to be putting a lot of your efforts into the piece. I also talk to them about my creative liberty and how I work. So what I do is I understand what they're looking for. I understand the styles that they like about what I've done, why they like it, all that. Then I talk about how my style of art is. If they ask me to, say, put a fish in the art, I say I don't do anything representational. My abstracts are very abstract, and you usually cannot see, if they want a woman's face in it. I don't do that. I've actually turned down commissions and given them a name for somebody, another artist, because I know that I'm not going to create the art that they want. They may like my background, but the art that they're going to get from me is not going to be what they truly want if they start asking for things that I don't do. I want to be fair to them and fair to you. So I let them come over and I give them 2 tries. And so the first time I create the art, and it's basically what I feel would be done. But I do know when people who especially are not artists come to look at a piece of art, they're going to look at it and their mind's going to get inspired by what they see. So when they think on their mind what they think that they want, and then when they see what you've created, a lot of times you'll see them think, and they'll say, oh, well, I really think I'd like to have a little bit more gold, or I'd like to have, a little bit more texture, or a little bit more of this. And that I don't mind, because that's exactly what I want at this point, is for them to have a chance to make a change. Not drastic, but make a change so that they really are connecting with the piece. And then I have one more time where basically the piece is done, but it's before I varnish, that they're allowed to come out, or I send them photos and they're allowed to look at the piece again. After that, I don't tweak with it anymore. That's it. Because by then, if I haven't gotten it right, or they have, they don't like the piece, then there's something more going on. And that's just kind of my experience. So at that point, I finish up the art, and then I do the varnish, and I already talked to them about what varnish. I even put that in the contract, if it's matte or gloss or whatever. And then I finish the piece of art, and when the varnish is dry is when we talk about delivery or pickup. One more thing that I do is I do a final statement. Well, 2 more things. I do a final statement, and then I do a letter of authenticity. I always do a letter of authenticity on each piece, where I put the information about it, the cost, and provide that to them. But I do another one, especially if it's a large piece, where I actually have a letter, very short little thing where I say, this is the final piece, it's being delivered to you, and you take ownership of it, pay the final amount. It's kind of like a sales slip to them, but they sign off that the piece is done and they've accepted it. That avoids if somebody later, gets it home and 100 people make comments and someone says, you should have a dot of gold over here, and they want you to come back and do more. Once it's accepted, it's accepted. I even, if it's a large piece, I even do a video of the piece in the state that it is, and the back. I do the frame, I do the backboards to show myself that there's no damage. I would hate for a piece to get picked up and have the person picking it up crack one of the boards in the back because they've moved it incorrectly, and have the client think that it came from me that way. So by doing a video, and then letting them know that they've gotten it in the shape that it's in, I know that I've given it to them without any damage on it. So I think that's about it. I may add more in the comments section if I think of more, but that's my take on how I do commissions, and I've been successful at them myself. I'm not the expert. There's probably a lot of other people out there that have some great ideas and tips, and I'd love to hear them myself. But so far this has worked for me. I do the contract, I do a letter of authenticity, I put in the contract off a lot of the information that I gather and the parameters of what we're working around. I do a letter of kind of like an in receipt, which has them authorize that they've taken the art, and I collect money up front. So I hope that's been helpful to you, and if you have any questions for me or any suggestions about what you do that I could improve how I do commissions, I'd love to hear. Thank you.